Have you ever seen something that stopped your heart cold? Something impossible, something that shouldn't exist? That's what happened to Marcus DeLuca, the most feared man in the city, when he saw a 4-year-old black girl on a dirty street corner wearing his dead wife's necklace. The necklace that was supposed to be buried with Isabella 5 years ago. The necklace that disappeared the night of her funeral. The necklace he thought he'd never see again. But there it was, hanging around the neck of a child who looked exactly like him. What Marcus discovered next didn't just shock him. It tore apart 5 years of grief, exposed a murder he never knew happened, and revealed a daughter he never knew existed. And when the people who killed his wife discovered that necklace was still out there, containing evidence that could destroy them, this innocent child became the most hunted target in the city. Before we dive into this story, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. New York, London, Johannesburg, Lagos? I want to know. And subscribe, because this story is about to take you somewhere dark, dangerous, and absolutely unforgettable. The black SUV moved slowly through the poorest part of the city, a place Marcus DeLuca rarely visited. Broken sidewalks, graffiti-covered walls, people selling things from cardboard boxes on street corners. This was survival territory, the kind of neighborhood where people minded their business and asked no questions. Marcus sat in the back seat, his face unreadable behind dark sunglasses. His driver, Rico, navigated the narrow streets carefully. They were returning from a business meeting, the kind that involved guns, threats, and agreements sealed with fear rather than handshakes. Marcus stared out the window, his mind elsewhere. It had been 5 years since Isabella died, 5 years since the car accident that took her from him, 5 years of an empty mansion, sleepless nights, and a coldness that had settled into his bones like winter frost. He'd tried to move on. His mother, Catherine, had even introduced him to Elena, beautiful, educated, from a good family. They'd been together for 6 months. She'd moved into the mansion. His mother kept hinting about marriage, about grandchildren, about carrying on the DeLuca name. But something was wrong. Marcus felt it every day, a hollowness that Elena couldn't fill, a missing piece that made everything feel like he was just going through motions. He'd loved Isabella with everything he had. Her death had broken something inside him that refused to heal. The SUV slowed at a red light. Marcus glanced out the window absently. That's when he saw her. A little girl, maybe 4 years old, sitting on the curb beside a woman selling handmade bracelets from a blanket spread on the sidewalk. The child was tiny, with wild curly hair pulled into 2 puffs, wearing a faded pink dress that was too big for her. She was playing with a doll, singing softly to herself. But it wasn't the girl that made Marcus freeze. It was what she was wearing around her neck. A gold necklace with an intricate design, a rose intertwined with thorns, with a small diamond at the center. Custom made, one of a kind, Isabella's necklace. Marcus's hand shot out and grabbed Rico's shoulder. "Stop the car. Boss, the light's about to—" "Stop the fucking car, now!" Rico hit the brakes. Cars behind them honked angrily. Marcus was already opening the door, stepping out onto the street, his eyes locked on that necklace. He walked toward them slowly, his heart pounding in a way it hadn't in 5 years. The woman looked up, late 20s, black, with tired eyes and beautiful features that poverty couldn't quite hide. She was thin, worn down by life, but there was strength in the way she sat protecting her small display of bracelets. "Can I help you?" the woman asked, her voice wary. Men in expensive suits didn't usually stop in this neighborhood unless they wanted something. Marcus didn't answer. He was staring at the little girl, at the necklace hanging against her small chest. The child looked up at him with big, curious eyes that were dark like his, with the same intense gaze he saw in his mirror every morning. "That necklace," Marcus said, his voice rough. "Where did you get it?" The woman's hand immediately went protective, pulling her daughter closer. "What?" "The necklace the child is wearing. Where did it come from?" The little girl touched the necklace, her small fingers wrapping around it protectively. "It's Mama's pretty necklace. She gave it to me." "Zara, hush," the woman said quickly. She looked up at Marcus with growing fear. "Sir, I don't know what you want, but—" "That necklace belonged to my wife," Marcus interrupted, and his voice cracked on the word wife. "She was buried wearing it 5 years ago, so I'm going to ask you one more time. Where did you get it?" The woman's face went pale. She pulled her daughter even closer. "I don't know what you're talking about. This necklace has been in my family. Don't lie to me." Marcus took a step closer. His hands were shaking, from anger or shock or something else he couldn't tell. "That necklace is custom made, one of a kind. I had it designed specifically for my wife, Isabella DeLuca. There is no other necklace like it in the world." Recognition flickered in the woman's eyes when he said his name. Everyone in this city knew the name DeLuca. Everyone knew what it meant. "Please," she whispered, clutching her daughter. "Please don't hurt us. We didn't steal anything, I swear." "Mama?" The little girl looked confused and scared. "Why is the man angry?" Marcus forced himself to take a breath. He was scaring them, and that wasn't what he wanted. He crouched down, making himself less intimidating, though his tattooed forearms and the wolf neck tattoo, visible above his collar, still screamed danger. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, trying to gentle his voice. "I just need to understand, please. That necklace, it was my wife's. She died 5 years ago, and now I see it here, on your daughter. I need to know how that's possible." The woman was trembling now. She looked at her daughter, at the necklace, at Marcus, and something in her face broke. "I didn't steal it," she said, tears forming in her eyes. "I swear I didn't steal it. It was there, and I kept it because—" She stopped, looking at her daughter. "Because why?" Marcus pressed. "Because it was the only thing I had," she whispered. "The only memory." "Memory of what?" The woman closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. "Of that night, 5 years ago, the hotel. I was working as a room service attendant, and—" She stopped, shaking her head. "I can't. Not here. Not in front of her." Marcus felt like the ground was shifting under his feet. "What hotel? What night?" The little girl tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mama, why are you crying?" The woman wiped her tears quickly, putting on a brave face for her daughter. "It's okay, baby. Mama's fine." Marcus stood slowly. His mind was racing. 5 years ago. A hotel. The night of Isabella's funeral, he'd been destroyed, drugged by grief and pills someone had given him to help him sleep. He'd woken up in a hotel room with only fragments of memory, a woman's voice, soft hands, darkness. He'd convinced himself it was a dream, a grief-induced hallucination. But what if it wasn't? He looked at the little girl again, really looked at her this time. She had his eyes, his nose, the same bone structure he saw in his childhood photos. "How old is she?" Marcus asked, his voice barely audible. 4. She'll be 5 in 2 months. The timeline matched, exactly. "What's your name?" Marcus asked the woman. Amara Freeman." "And her name?" "Zara." Marcus looked at Zara, this tiny girl with his features and his dead wife's necklace, and felt something crack open in his chest, something that had been sealed shut since Isabella died. "Miss Freeman," he said carefully, "I think we need to have a longer conversation. Somewhere private. Please. I can't—" Amara looked around desperately, like she wanted to run. "I'm not going to hurt you," Marcus said again. "But that necklace, it's not just valuable, it's—" He stopped himself. He couldn't explain here, on a street corner, that the necklace might contain evidence about his wife's death, that there were people who would kill to get it, that by wearing it, this child might be in danger. "Please," he said simply, "just come with me. Let me buy you lunch. We can talk, and if you want to leave after, you can leave. I won't stop you." Amara looked at him for a long moment, then at her daughter, then at the pathetic display of bracelets that probably represented her whole livelihood. "If I say no?" she asked quietly. "Then I'll leave," Marcus said. "But Miss Freeman, I think you know that necklace isn't just a pretty piece of jewelry. I think you know there's a story behind it, and I think—" He looked at Zara again. "I think that story involves both of us." Amara bit her lip. She was clearly terrified but also curious, and maybe, somewhere deep down, she'd been waiting 5 years for this moment. "Okay," she whispered, "but just lunch, and then we go our separate ways." "Agreed." Marcus helped them into his SUV. Rico looked shocked, but said nothing. As they pulled away from the curb, Marcus watched Zara in the rearview mirror. She was playing with the necklace, humming to herself, completely unaware that her whole world was about to change, and so was his. They went to a small, quiet restaurant, not one of Marcus's usual high-end places, but somewhere Amara wouldn't feel completely out of place. A family diner with booths and simple food. Marcus had Rico wait outside. Zara slid into the booth, her legs swinging because they couldn't reach the floor. She stared wide-eyed at the menu, even though she probably couldn't read most of it. "Can I have pancakes?" she asked her mother. "Baby, we should just—" "She can have whatever she wants," Marcus interrupted. He signaled the waitress. "Pancakes for her, and bring some fruit, juice, whatever kids like." After they ordered, an uncomfortable silence settled over the table. Zara colored on the paper placemat with crayons the waitress brought. Amara stared at her hands. Marcus stared at the necklace. "Tell me about that night," Marcus said finally. 5 years ago, the hotel." Amara glanced at Zara, who was absorbed in her coloring. She lowered her voice. "I was working at the Grand View Hotel," she began. "Room service, housekeeping, whatever they needed. It was a good job, better than most I'd had. That night, there was some kind of private event. Rich people, security everywhere. I was told to bring food up to one of the penthouse suites." She paused, remembering. "When I got there, the door was open. I knocked, but nobody answered. I went in. There was a man on the bed, unconscious. I thought maybe he was dead at first." Marcus closed his eyes. He remembered fragments, being led to a room, his security telling him to rest, everything fuzzy from grief and whatever medication they'd given him. "I tried to wake you," Amara continued, "to make sure you were okay. You opened your eyes, but you weren't really seeing me. You were mumbling about someone named Isabella, saying, 'I'm sorry,' over and over." Marcus's jaw tightened. He'd been drowning in guilt that night. Guilt that he hadn't protected Isabella, that he'd let her die, that he was alive and she wasn't. "I should have left," Amara said, "but you grabbed my hand. You were crying. You asked me not to go. You said—" She hesitated. "You said, 'Don't leave me alone in the dark.'" "So you stayed," Marcus said quietly. "I stayed, just to sit with you, to make sure you didn't choke or hurt yourself. But then you pulled me closer, started kissing me. I knew you weren't in your right mind. I knew I should stop it, but—" She looked down, ashamed. "I was lonely too. I'd just lost my grandmother. I was alone in this city, and for one night, being held by someone who was also broken, it felt less lonely. And the necklace. When I woke up in the morning, you were gone, but the necklace was on the nightstand. I thought maybe you left it for me, like payment or something." She looked disgusted with herself. "I almost threw it away. I felt so dirty about what happened, but then I found out I was pregnant and—" "You kept it as the only connection to the father," Marcus finished. Amara nodded, tears streaming down her face now. "I tried to find you. I went back to the hotel, but they said the event was private, no records. I didn't even know your name. All I had was that necklace." Marcus sat back, his mind reeling. This woman, this child, 5 years of his life suddenly reframed. The necklace wasn't on a nightstand, he said slowly. Isabella was buried wearing it. At least, I thought she was. But the funeral was chaos. My mother handled everything. The casket was closed because of the accident. I never actually saw— He stopped, a horrible realization dawning. "What?" Amara asked. Marcus looked at her, then at Zara, then at the necklace. That necklace wasn't just jewelry. Isabella had it custom-made with a hidden compartment. She used it to store a USB drive with information, evidence about corruption in the family business. She'd been investigating something dangerous. Amara's eyes widened. "What kind of evidence?" "The kind that gets people killed," Marcus said grimly. "If she was buried wearing it, that evidence should be buried too. But if it's here—" He leaned forward urgently. "I need to see that necklace. Right now." "Why?" "Because if I'm right about what's inside it, then everyone who wanted Isabella dead 5 years ago, they're going to want that necklace now, which means we're in danger," Amara finished, understanding flooding her face. She looked at Zara, who was still coloring peacefully, completely unaware. "Take it off her," Marcus said. "Now. We can't have her wearing it out in the open." Amara quickly reached for the clasp. "Zara, baby, let Mama hold the necklace for a bit, okay?" "No," Zara pulled away. "It's my special necklace. You said I could wear it." "I know, but I'll be careful, I promise." "Zara!" A loud crash interrupted them. The restaurant's front window exploded inward, glass shattering everywhere. People screamed. and through the broken window, Marcus saw them. 3 men in black, guns drawn, moving fast. They weren't here for robbery. They were here for the necklace. Marcus moved on pure instinct. He grabbed Zara, throwing his body over her as bullets ripped through the restaurant. Amara screamed. People dove under tables, the air filled with gunfire and terror. "Stay down," Marcus shouted to Amara. He had his own gun out now, returning fire with brutal precision. One attacker dropped, then another, but more were coming. Rico burst through the back entrance, providing covering fire. "Boss, back exit, now!" Marcus didn't hesitate. He scooped up Zara with one arm, grabbed Amara with the other, and ran. Behind them, the restaurant was being torn apart by bullets. They burst out into the alley. Rico had the SUV running, back door open. They dove inside. Rico floored it before the door even closed. "Who were they?" Amara gasped, clutching Zara, who was crying hysterically. "Castellanos," Marcus said grimly, recognizing the tattoos he'd seen. "My family's biggest rivals, which means—" He looked at the necklace, now clutched in Zara's terrified hands. "Which means they know the necklace exists. They know what's inside it, and they just tried to kill us to get it." "Oh my God," Amara whispered. "Oh my God, what have I done? What have I done to my baby?" Marcus looked at this woman and this child. His child, he was now certain, and made a decision that would change everything. "You're coming with me," he said. "Both of you. To my home, where I can protect you." No, we can't." "You don't have a choice anymore," Marcus said, not unkindly. "The Castellanos saw you. They saw Zara. They know you have the necklace. Whether you come with me or not, they will hunt you. At least with me, you have a chance." Amara looked at her daughter, still crying and scared, and realized he was right. They'd stepped into something terrible, something that had been waiting for 5 years to explode. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." As the SUV raced through the city toward the DeLuca mansion, Marcus stared at the necklace in Zara's hands. Inside, it was the truth about Isabella's death. He was sure of it now. His wife hadn't died in an accident. She'd been murdered, and whoever killed her thought they'd buried the evidence with her body. But they were wrong. And now, Marcus was going to use that evidence to destroy them, no matter the cost. He just had one problem. The 4-year-old girl sitting across from him, wearing his face and his dead wife's necklace, was his daughter. And the people who killed Isabella wouldn't hesitate to kill her too. The game had changed. Marcus wasn't just protecting evidence anymore. He was protecting family. Drop a comment right now. Did you see that attack coming? What do you think is on that USB drive? And who do you think killed Marcus's wife? Hit that like button and subscribe, because the next chapter reveals the truth about Isabella's death, the night Marcus and Amara met, and the conspiracy that's been hiding in plain sight for 5 years. The SUV pulled through the massive iron gates of the DeLuca estate. Amara pressed her face against the window, her mouth falling open. She'd seen wealthy neighborhoods before, but this was something else entirely. The mansion loomed ahead like a fortress, all white stone and towering columns, surrounded by perfectly manicured gardens and security cameras everywhere. Zara had finally stopped crying, her small body exhausted from fear. She clutched her mother with one hand and the necklace with the other, her eyes red and puffy. "This is where you live," Amara whispered. "This is where you'll be safe," Marcus corrected. He was already on his phone, barking orders. "Tony, I need a full security suite, perimeter locked down. No one in or out without my authorization. And get Dr. Santos here now. I need the child checked for injuries." "We're fine," Amara said quickly. "She's just scared." "She was in a shootout," Marcus said flatly. "She's getting checked." The car stopped at the front entrance. Before Amara could open the door, Marcus was already out, scanning the area with trained eyes. Only when he was satisfied did he gesture for them to exit. A woman stood at the entrance, older, elegant, with perfectly styled gray hair and cold eyes that swept over Amara and Zara with obvious disdain. This was Catherine DeLuca, Marcus's mother. "Marcus," Catherine said, her voice dripping with disapproval, "what is the meaning of this?" "Not now, Mother. You bring strangers into our home without—" "I said not now." Marcus's voice carried a warning that made even Catherine pause. He turned to Amara. "Come inside, quickly." They entered a foyer that looked like something from a movie. Marble floors, a crystal chandelier that probably cost more than Amara had earned in her entire life, artwork that belonged in museums. Zara pressed closer to her mother, overwhelmed. "Rico, take them to the East Wing guest suite," Marcus ordered. "The one with the security door. Post 2 guards outside." "Marcus, really?" Catherine began. "Mother, my office. Now." The command in his voice was absolute. Catherine's lips pressed into a thin line, but she followed him. As they disappeared down a hallway, Rico gently guided Amara and Zara in the opposite direction. The guest suite was bigger than Amara's entire apartment had been. King-sized bed, private bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people, a sitting area with plush furniture. Zara's eyes were huge. "Is this a castle?" she whispered. "Something like that, little one," Rico said gently. His scarred face looked fierce, but his eyes were kind. "You're safe here, I promise. No one gets through us." After Rico left, Amara locked the door and sank onto the bed, pulling Zara into her lap. Her hands were still shaking, the shooting replayed in her mind, the glass shattering, Zara's screams, bullets tearing through the air. "Mama, I'm hungry," Zara said in a small voice. "I know, baby. Amara stopped. She had no idea what they'd do. They were in a stranger's house, a dangerous stranger, a mafia boss whose dead wife's necklace they'd been wearing. A knock at the door made her jump. "Miss Freeman?" A woman's voice, gentle. "I'm Dr. Santos. Mr. DeLuca asked me to check on your daughter." Amara hesitated, then opened the door. The doctor was middle-aged with warm brown eyes and a reassuring smile. She carried a medical bag and moved with calm efficiency. "May I?" she asked, gesturing to Zara. The examination was quick and thorough. "She's fine," Dr. Santos concluded. "No injuries, just frightened. I'd recommend a warm bath, some food, and rest. The trauma counselor will come tomorrow if you'd like." After she left, a different knock came. This time it was a young woman carrying a tray laden with food, sandwiches, fruit, juice, cookies. "Mr. DeLuca's orders," she said. "He said to make sure the little one eats." Zara ate ravenously while Amara picked at her food, her stomach too knotted with anxiety to manage more than a few bites. When Zara finally fell asleep, exhausted, Amara sat by the window staring out at the gardens, her mind racing. 5 years. 5 years she'd struggled alone, working terrible jobs, living in rooms with peeling paint and cockroaches, wondering who Zara's father was. And now she knew. A mafia boss, a dangerous, powerful, feared man. And his dead wife's necklace, the necklace Amara had thought was just a pretty trinket, contained evidence that people were willing to kill for. What had she walked into? In his office, Marcus sat across from his mother, his face carved from stone. "Explain," Catherine demanded. "Who are those people? Why did you bring them here?" "The child is wearing Isabella's necklace." Catherine went very still. "That's impossible. Isabella was buried wearing—" "Apparently not." Marcus leaned forward. "Mother, who handled the funeral arrangements? Who prepared the body? Who made sure everything was perfect while I was too destroyed to think straight?" "I did," Catherine said carefully. "I took care of everything because you were in no state to— And at any point during those arrangements, did Isabella's necklace go missing? Of course not. I personally ensured she was buried with all her jewelry exactly as you wanted. Then explain how a woman I've never met is in possession of a one-of-a-kind necklace that was supposed to be 6 feet underground." Catherine's mind was clearly working fast. Perhaps it's a replica. Perhaps she's running a con hoping to— "It's not a replica. I examined it. It's the real necklace." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed her a photo he'd quickly taken. "See that tiny scratch on the clasp? Isabella got that the week before she died when it caught on her sweater. It's the same necklace, Mother. Which means either it was never buried with her or someone took it from her grave." Catherine's face had gone pale. "That's absurd. No one would—" "And there's something else." Marcus's voice dropped to a deadly quiet. "The woman, Amara. 5 years ago, the night of Isabella's funeral, she was working at the Grandview Hotel, the same hotel where I woke up the next morning with no memory of how I got there." Understanding flickered in Catherine's eyes, followed quickly by calculation. "Marcus, you were distraught, medicated. If this woman took advantage—" "She didn't take advantage. Someone drugged me far beyond what any grief medication would do. Someone made sure I ended up in that hotel room. And someone made sure that necklace disappeared from Isabella's body before she was buried." He leaned closer. "Mother, I'm going to ask you a question, and I want the truth. Did you know Isabella was investigating corruption in the family? Catherine's expression didn't change. She asked questions sometimes. She was curious about the business. She was doing more than asking questions. She found something dangerous enough that she made a backup. He pulled the necklace from his pocket. He'd convinced Zara to let him keep it safe, and pressed the hidden clasp he'd discovered years ago. A tiny USB drive slid out from the concealed compartment. Catherine's face confirmed everything. She'd known. She'd always known. "What's on that drive?" Marcus asked softly, dangerously. "I don't know what you're—" "Don't lie to me." Marcus stood, his full height and presence filling the room. "Isabella found something bad enough that someone killed her for it, and you knew, and you said nothing." "I didn't know she was killed," Catherine said, standing as well. We all thought it was an accident." "But you knew about the investigation. You knew she had evidence. You knew about the necklace." Marcus's hands were shaking with barely contained rage. "And when she died, you made sure that necklace disappeared before anyone could find out what was inside it." Catherine's silence was admission enough. "What did she find?" Marcus demanded. "What did Isabella discover that got her killed?" "I don't know the specifics," Catherine said finally, "but she was looking into the Castellano dealings, the shipping routes, the money laundering. She thought someone in our family was working with them, passing information." "Who?" "I don't know." "You're lying." "I'm not!" Catherine's composure finally cracked. "Marcus, I swear, I don't know who she suspected. She wouldn't tell me. She said the less I knew, the safer I'd be. But she told me if anything happened to her, I needed to get that necklace away from you, away from everyone. She said the information on that drive could destroy both our family and the Castellanos. She said it would start a war." Marcus stared at his mother. "So when she died, you took the necklace. You were supposed to destroy it, weren't you? But instead, you— What, lost it, sold it?" "I never had a chance," Catherine said. "The night of the funeral, I went to retrieve it from the safe where I'd hidden it. But it was already gone. I thought maybe Isabella had moved it somewhere else before the accident. I searched everywhere. And then you were in such a state, drugged and grieving, I couldn't tell you about any of it. So you just let it go. Let the evidence disappear. Let my wife's murder go unsolved because you were protecting the family's secrets." "I was protecting you," Catherine shouted. "If that information went public, everything your father built would have been destroyed. You would have been destroyed. I made a choice." "You made the wrong choice." Marcus grabbed his jacket. "That woman upstairs, Amara? I was with her the night of the funeral, and 9 months later she gave birth to a daughter. Do the math, Mother." Catherine's eyes widened. "You don't know that. You'd need proof." "I'm getting a DNA test done tomorrow, but I've seen the child. She has my eyes, my face, my—" His voice broke slightly. "She's mine. I have a daughter. And because of your choices, because of the secrets you kept, that little girl was just shot at by the Castellanos. They know about the necklace now. They know what's inside it. And they will kill anyone who stands between them and that evidence." "Then destroy it," Catherine said urgently. "Destroy the drive and this all goes away." "No." Marcus's voice was ice. "I'm going to do what Isabella wanted to do. I'm going to expose whatever corruption she found. I'm going to find out who killed her, and I'm going to make them pay. That will start a war. Then we'll have a war." Marcus returned to the guest suite to find Amara sitting by the window, Zara asleep in the massive bed. Amara turned when he entered, her face showing exhaustion and fear. "Is she okay?" Marcus asked, looking at Zara. "Physically, yes. But she's terrified. We've never experienced anything like that." Amara's voice was steady, but her hands trembled. "Who were those men? Why are they after us?" Marcus sat down, suddenly feeling every one of his 38 years. 5 years ago, my wife Isabella died. Everyone said it was a car accident, but she'd been investigating criminal activity. Corruption, money laundering, connections between my family's business and our rivals, the Castellanos. She found evidence. Put it on a USB drive. Hid it in her necklace. "The necklace Zara's been wearing," Amara said, understanding. "The necklace you've had for 5 years. The Castellanos must have people watching. When I stopped to talk to you when they saw that necklace—" He shook his head. "They've been looking for it for 5 years. Now they know where it is. So they'll keep coming." "Yes." "Then we need to leave. We need to—" You can't run from the Castellanos, Marcus said. They have resources, connections. They'd find you in days. The only way to keep you and Zara safe is to stay here, under my protection, until I can figure out what's on that drive and use it. Use it how? To destroy them. To expose whatever Isabella found and bring down everyone involved in her death. Amara was quiet for a long moment. Then, "You think someone in your own family killed her, don't you?" Marcus looked at her sharply. "What makes you say that?" "The way you talked to your mother, the anger. You weren't just mad about the necklace. You were mad about betrayal. You're observant." "I've had to be. Life doesn't give second chances to people like me." She looked at Zara. "Is my daughter really mine? I believe so. I'm arranging a DNA test. But Amara, I saw her face. She has my eyes. He stopped, emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "I need to know for sure. I need proof. Because if she's mine, if she's my daughter, then everything changes." "How?" "Because then she's not just a witness or a victim. She's a DeLuca, and I will protect her with everything I have, no matter what it costs." Amara studied his face, the tattoos, the scars, the hardness that came from living in a world of violence. But beneath it, she saw something else: pain, grief, and a desperate need to make things right. "Tell me about that night," she said quietly. "The funeral. What do you remember?" Marcus leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "Almost nothing. I remember the service, Isabella's family crying, my mother managing everything. I was hollowed out. Someone gave me pills, said they'd help me sleep. I took them. Next thing I knew, I was waking up in a hotel room with no memory of how I got there." "You were calling for Isabella," Amara said softly. "You were crying, saying you were sorry, that you should have protected her, that it should have been you." "I should have protected her. You didn't know she was in danger." "I should have known." Marcus's voice rose. "She was investigating my world, my family's business, and I was too blind to see the danger she was putting herself in. I should have stopped her. I should have—" He stopped, breathing hard. "You loved her," Amara said simply. "More than anything." "I'm sorry." They sat in silence. Then Marcus said, "Why didn't you try harder to find me? After you got pregnant, you had the necklace. You could have—" "I tried," Amara interrupted. "I went back to the hotel. They said there were no records. Private event, cash only, no names. I showed them the necklace. Nobody recognized it. I had no name, no face, nothing but a memory of one night with a man so broken he could barely speak." She looked at him. "How was I supposed to find you in a city of millions?" "I'm sorry, I didn't mean—" "I did everything alone," Amara continued, years of struggle pouring out. "I was pregnant, broke, terrified. I lost my job because I was too sick to work, ended up living in a shelter. When Zara was born, I had nothing, no family, no support, just this tiny baby and a necklace I kept because it was the only thing connecting her to a father she'd never know." "You should have had help. You should have—" "Should have what? I did the best I could. I survived. I kept her alive. I loved her with everything I had. And maybe we were poor, maybe we struggled, but we had each other. That was enough." Marcus looked at her, really looked at her. This woman who'd raised his daughter alone, who'd survived poverty and hardship, who'd fought every day to give Zara a life. She was stronger than anyone he'd ever met in his world of power and violence. "I can't change the past," he said finally, "but I can change the future. You and Zara, if she's my daughter, and I believe she is, you'll never struggle again. I'll take care of you both, whatever you need." "I don't want your money." "Then what do you want?" Amara looked at Zara, sleeping peacefully despite everything. "I want her to be safe. I want her to grow up without fear. I want—" Her voice broke. "I want what every mother wants, for her child to have a better life than she did. Then let me give her that. Let me be her father. You're a dangerous man, Marcus. Your world, it's violent. It's deadly. You said yourself, people are trying to kill us because of that necklace. Is that the life you want for her? No, but it's the life we're in now, whether we want it or not. The only way out is through. I have to finish what Isabella started. I have to find out who killed her and why, and I have to protect you and Zara while I do it." Amara was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "How long will we have to stay here?" I don't know. Until it's safe. Until... Marcus stopped as his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his face darkened. I have to go. There's been an incident at one of our warehouses. Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone except me or Rico. Understand? What kind of incident? The kind that means the Castellanos are making their move. It's starting. After he left, Amara sat by Zara's bedside watching her daughter sleep. The necklace sat on the nightstand, innocent-looking but containing secrets that had already nearly gotten them killed. 5 years. 5 years of struggling alone, wondering, hoping. Now she knew the truth about Zara's father, but she'd traded one kind of fear for another. Before she'd feared poverty, hunger, homelessness. Now she feared bullets, betrayal, and a war she didn't understand. She picked up the necklace, examining it closely for the first time. The rose and thorns design was beautiful, intricate. She found the hidden clasp Marcus had shown her, so small, so cleverly concealed. Inside was the USB drive that had cost Isabella DeLuca her life. What did you find? Amara whispered to the ghost of the woman who'd owned this necklace. What was worth dying for? Tomorrow, Marcus would plug that drive into a computer. Tomorrow, they'd learn the truth. Tomorrow, everything would change again. But tonight, in this mansion that felt more like a fortress than a home, Amara held her daughter close and tried not to think about the men with guns, who wanted them dead. Morning came too early. Amara woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and a moment of disorientation before remembering where she was. The DeLuca mansion. In hiding. Because people with guns wanted her daughter dead. Zara was still asleep, her small body curled up in the center of the enormous bed. The necklace sat on the nightstand where Amara had left it, looking innocent in the morning light. A soft knock at the door made Amara tense. Miss Freeman, it's Elena. Marcus asked me to bring you breakfast and some clothes. Amara opened the door cautiously. The woman standing there was stunning, tall, elegant, with perfect makeup and designer clothes. She carried a tray of food and had several shopping bags looped over her arm. I'm Elena, she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Marcus's fiancé. Fiancé, of course. A man like Marcus wouldn't be alone. Amara felt a strange flutter in her chest that she refused to name as disappointment. Thank you, Amara said, taking the tray. That's very kind. Elena's eyes swept over Amara, assessing. Marcus said you and your daughter would be staying with us for a while. I thought you might need some things. She held out the bags. I guessed your sizes. I hope they fit. You really didn't have to. It's no trouble. Elena's smile was perfect, practiced. After all, Marcus is very concerned about your situation. He's in his office if you need him, working on that drive you brought. The way she said that drive made it clear Elena knew exactly what was happening and wasn't happy about it. After Elena left, Amara found the bags contained expensive clothes, designer labels she'd only seen in store windows, jeans that probably cost more than her monthly rent used to, simple but elegant shirts, and for Zara, adorable dresses and practical play clothes. She should have been grateful. Instead, she felt like charity, like an obligation Marcus was fulfilling out of duty rather than desire. Zara woke up cranky and disoriented. Where are we? I want to go home. We can't go home right now, baby, remember? We're staying here where it's safe. I don't like it here. It's too big. It's scary. Amara couldn't argue with that. She dressed Zara in one of the new outfits, a soft pink dress with white flowers, and tried to braid her hair, but Zara squirmed and complained the whole time. They were finishing breakfast when Marcus appeared at the door. He looked like he hadn't slept. His clothes were the same as yesterday. His eyes were red, and his jaw was tight with tension. I need to see you, he said to Amara. Alone. Can Zara stay here with one of the staff? I'm not leaving her with strangers. Rico will watch her. He has 3 daughters of his own. She'll be safe. Reluctantly, Amara agreed. Rico appeared moments later, his scarred face breaking into a gentle smile when he saw Zara. Hey, little princess, you want to see the garden? We have a koi pond with really big fish. Zara looked at her mother. Amara nodded. It's okay, baby. I'll be right back. Once they were alone, Marcus led Amara to his office, a massive room with dark wood furniture, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, and windows overlooking the estate. The USB drive sat on his desk next to an open laptop. I plugged it in 3 hours ago, Marcus said without preamble. I've been going through the files. Amara, Isabella found everything. Bank records, transaction logs, communications. She documented 5 years of corruption, money laundering, and illegal dealings between someone in my family and the Castellanos. Who? Marcus's face was stone. My uncle, Lorenzo DeLuca, my father's younger brother. He's been selling information to the Castellanos for over a decade, helping them avoid our security, telling them about our shipments, our routes, our weaknesses, all for money. Does he know about the drive? He must. Isabella confronted him 2 days before she died. She told him she had evidence and was going to expose him. The next day, her brakes mysteriously failed and she went off a cliff. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. It wasn't an accident. He killed her, or had her killed. My uncle murdered my wife. Amara sat down slowly. What are you going to do? What do you think? Marcus's voice was deadly quiet. I'm going to destroy him. I'm going to use this evidence to bring down both him and the Castellanos. And then... He stopped, his jaw working. Then what? Then I'm going to kill him myself. The casual way he said it chilled Amara to her core. This was who Marcus really was. Not the man who gently held Zara yesterday, but a killer. A man capable of murder without hesitation. There's something else, Marcus continued. He pulled up a file on the laptop. Financial records, large payments made from Lorenzo to a medical lab 5 years ago, right around the time of Isabella's funeral. What kind of lab? The kind that does DNA testing. Marcus looked at her. I think Lorenzo knew about you. I think he knew I'd been with someone that night at the hotel, and I think he tried to find you. Why would he care? Because if you'd had my child, that child would be my heir. Someone who could challenge Lorenzo's position in the family. He needed to make sure you disappeared before anyone knew you existed. Amara's blood ran cold. Are you saying he's been looking for us this whole time? I think he looked 5 years ago and couldn't find you. You disappeared too thoroughly. But now... Marcus gestured to the laptop. Now that the Castellanos know about the necklace, Lorenzo knows too. Which means he knows you exist. That Zara exists. So we're in danger from your uncle and the Castellanos? And anyone else Lorenzo's been working with. Amara, this is bigger than I thought. The corruption goes deep. There are people in my organization I can't trust, which is why I need to know... He pulled out a medical kit. I need to do the DNA test. Right now, I need to know for certain that Zara is mine. Amara nodded numbly. Marcus called for Zara and Rico. When they arrived, Zara clutching Rico's hand, Marcus knelt down to her level. Zara, I need to ask you something. Can I take a tiny sample from inside your cheek? It won't hurt at all. I promise. Why? Zara asked suspiciously. Because... Marcus glanced at Amara. Because I think I might be your daddy, and I need to be sure. Zara's eyes went wide. Really? You're my daddy? Maybe. Will you let me check? Zara nodded slowly. Marcus swabbed her cheek gently, then did his own. He sealed the samples in tubes. I'm sending these to a private lab I trust. Results in 24 hours. After Rico took Zara back to play, Amara said, What happens if she's not yours? She is. But if she's not, then I'll still protect you both, Marcus said firmly. Because you're in danger because of my family's actions, because my uncle's crimes put a target on your back. Whether she's my blood or not, I'm responsible for keeping you safe. A knock at the door interrupted them. Catherine entered without waiting for permission, her face tight with displeasure. Marcus, we need to talk about your house guests. Not now, Mother. Yes, now. Elena is upset. She feels disrespected. You're engaged to be married and you've brought another woman and child into our home without... Elena can deal with it. And what about the family? What will people say when they find out about this girl and her daughter? I don't care what people say. You should care. Your reputation, your position... My position? Marcus stood, his full height and presence filling the room. Mother, I just found out my wife was murdered by my own uncle, that he's been betraying this family for over a decade, that he's working with our enemies. Do you really think I give a damn about gossip right now? Catherine went pale. What are you talking about? Isabella's drive. I've seen everything. Lorenzo killed her, and I'm going to prove it. That's impossible. Lorenzo would never... Why are you defending him? Marcus asked sharply. Unless... Understanding dawned on his face. You knew, didn't you? You knew Lorenzo was dirty. I suspected. Catherine admitted. But I had no proof, and I couldn't accuse him without evidence or it would tear the family apart. So you did nothing. While he murdered Isabella and betrayed everything Father built. I did what I thought was best for the family. No, you did what was easiest for you. Marcus's voice was ice. You wanted to maintain order, keep up appearances, preserve your position, even if it meant letting a murderer walk free. Marcus, you don't understand. Get out. What? Get out of my office now. Catherine's eyes flashed with anger, but she left. When the door closed, Marcus slumped into his chair, suddenly looking exhausted. I'm sorry you had to see that, he said to Amara. Your family is complicated. That's one word for it. He rubbed his face. Amara, I need you to understand something. The next few days are going to be dangerous. I'm going to move against Lorenzo. I'm going to use this evidence to expose him to the family council. And when I do, he's going to fight back with everything he has. Meaning he might try to hurt me by hurting you and Zara. I'm going to increase your security. You'll have guards with you at all times. You don't go anywhere without my permission. Understand? We're prisoners. You're protected. There's a difference. Before Amara could respond, gunfire erupted somewhere in the mansion. Close. Too close. Marcus was moving instantly, gun drawn, pushing Amara behind his desk. Stay down! More gunfire, shouting, the sound of glass breaking. Rico's voice came through Marcus's radio. Boss, we're under attack. East wing, multiple shooters. Where's Zara? Amara screamed. Garden, Rico said. I've got her. We're pinned down. I'm coming. Marcus was already running. Amara, stay here. Lock the door. But Amara wasn't staying anywhere while her daughter was in danger. She ran after Marcus, ignoring his shouts for her to stop. They burst out into the garden to find chaos. Men in tactical gear, Castellano soldiers, were everywhere. Rico had Zara behind a stone fountain, using his body as a shield while firing at 3 attackers. Zara was screaming, terrified. Marcus didn't hesitate. He moved like a trained killer, taking down 2 men with precise shots before they even knew he was there. More of his security arrived, turning the garden into a war zone. Amara ran in a crouch toward Rico and Zara, bullets kicking up dirt around her feet. She didn't care. All that mattered was reaching her daughter. Zara, baby, I'm here. Mama! Zara reached for her. Rico provided covering fire as Amara grabbed her daughter and pulled her close. The battle lasted 3 more minutes, the longest 3 minutes of Amara's life. When it was finally over, 4 Castellano soldiers were dead, 2 of Marcus's men were wounded, and the garden was destroyed. Marcus appeared, breathing hard, his white shirt splattered with blood that might not all be his own. Everyone inside now, full lockdown. They retreated into the mansion. Marcus's security sealed every entrance. Medical teams rushed to treat the wounded, and through it all, Amara held Zara, both of them shaking with shock and fear. I want to go home, Zara sobbed. I want to leave. Please, Mama, please. I know, baby, I know. Marcus approached them, his face grim. They came for the necklace. Lorenzo must have told them where it was, which means, he looked at Amara, which means he knows you're here. He knows about Zara, and he's not going to stop until you're both dead. Then we need to leave. You can't. They'll follow. They'll find you. Marcus knelt down. I have a safe house, across the city, more secure than here. I'm going to move you tonight under heavy guard. You'll be safe there while I deal with this. Deal with it how? Marcus's smile was cold and dangerous. By ending it, once and for all. That evening, under cover of darkness, they moved. Marcus personally drove, with 2 SUVs full of armed guards flanking them. The safe house turned out to be a fortified apartment building, every floor occupied by Marcus's people, every entrance monitored, rooftop snipers, the works. As they settled into a top-floor unit, Zara finally exhausted enough to sleep. Amara stood at the window looking out at the city lights. I should have left well enough alone, she said quietly when Marcus joined her. Should have sold that necklace years ago. Should have what? Denied Zara a chance to know her father? Denied me a chance to know my daughter? Marcus shook his head. This isn't your fault, it's mine. My family, my world, my sins coming home to roost. When will it end? Soon. Tomorrow, I'm calling a family council. I'm going to present the evidence against Lorenzo, and then... He stopped. Then you're going to kill him. Yes. What if he kills you first? Marcus turned to her. If something happens to me, Rico has instructions. He'll get you and Zara somewhere safe. new identities, new life. You'll be taken care of. I don't want your money if you're dead. Then what do you want? Amara looked at him. This dangerous, violent man who'd killed people today without hesitation, but who'd also thrown himself between her daughter and bullets, who'd fought through a war zone to keep them safe. I want Zara to know her father, Amara said finally. I want her to grow up with you in her life. So don't die tomorrow. Don't leave her the way I was left. Please. Marcus reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her face gently. I promise I'll do everything in my power to survive. For her. He stopped. For what? For the family I didn't know I wanted, until I found it. They stood there in the darkness, two broken people drawn together by fate and a lost necklace, while a 4-year-old girl slept peacefully, unaware that tomorrow would decide if she'd finally have the father she'd always wanted, or lose him before she ever truly knew him. The DNA results arrived at dawn. Marcus sat alone in the safe house kitchen, staring at the sealed envelope from the lab. His hands were steady as he opened it. Years of controlling his emotions in dangerous situations had taught him that skill. But inside, his heart was racing. He pulled out the paper and read, Probability of paternity, 99.97%. Marcus DeLuca was Zara's biological father. He sat back, the paper trembling slightly now despite his control. A daughter. He had a daughter. A beautiful, brave, innocent little girl who carried his blood, his features, his legacy. Isabella had given him 5 years of love before she was taken. Now fate had given him Zara. Are those the results? He looked up. Amara stood in the doorway, wrapped in a robe, her hair loose around her shoulders. Even exhausted and scared, she was striking. Yes. He slid the paper across the table. She's mine. Amara read it, tears immediately filling her eyes. So it's official. It's official. Marcus stood. Amara, I want to do this properly. I want to claim her legally. I want her to have my name, my protection, everything that comes with being a DeLuca. But I need your permission. You're asking? She's your daughter. You raised her. You made her who she is. I'm not going to take her from you or make decisions about her life without your agreement. He moved closer. I want to be her father. But I want you to be part of this too, not pushed aside, not treated like you're just the woman who carried my child. You're Zara's mother. That means something. Fresh tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. All my life, I've been invisible, poor, dismissed. Nobody asked my permission for anything because nobody cared what I thought. And now you, her voice broke, thank you for seeing me, for... Zara's scream cut through the moment. They both ran to the bedroom. Zara was sitting up in bed, sobbing, shaking. The men with guns! They're coming! Mama, they're coming! It's okay, baby. It was just a dream. Amara held her close. We're safe. No one's coming. But Zara couldn't be consoled. The trauma of yesterday's attack had burrowed deep. She clung to Amara, hyperventilating, unable to calm down. Zara, Marcus said gently, sitting on the edge of the bed. Look at me. Can you look at me? Through her tears, Zara turned to him. I got the test results, Marcus said. Do you know what they said? Zara shook her head. They said, you're my daughter. Really, truly, officially my daughter. He smiled, which means I'm your daddy. For real. Zara blinked, confusion temporarily overriding fear. Really? Really? And you know what daddies do. What? They protect their children, no matter what. I'm never going to let anyone hurt you, Zara, I promise. He held out his hand. Do you believe me? Zara looked at his hand, tattooed, scarred, dangerous. Then she looked at his face and saw something that made her slowly reach out and take it. Okay, Daddy. The word hit Marcus like a physical blow. Daddy. His daughter was calling him Daddy. After 38 years of living in darkness and violence, this tiny girl had just given him something he didn't know he desperately needed, a reason to be better. 2 hours later, Marcus stood in the grand conference room of DeLuca Tower, facing the family council. 12 men sat around the massive table, senior members of the organization, his father's old allies, power brokers who'd been part of this family for decades, and at the head of the table, looking confident and relaxed, sat Uncle Lorenzo. Lorenzo DeLuca was 62, still handsome despite his age, with silver hair and the easy charm that had always made him popular. He smiled at Marcus like this was just another business meeting. "Marcus, my boy, you called this emergency session. The floor is yours." Marcus stood at the opposite end of the table. Behind him, on a large screen, was a single frozen image, a photo of Isabella smiling alive, taken a week before her death. 5 years ago, Marcus began, his voice carrying clearly through the room, my wife died in what we all believed was a tragic accident. Her car went off a cliff. The brakes failed. It was investigated, ruled accidental, and we mourned. He clicked a button. The screen changed to show accident scene photos. But my wife didn't die in an accident. She was murdered, and I can prove it. The room erupted in murmurs. Lorenzo's smile faltered slightly. Marcus continued, clicking through slides. 3 months before her death, Isabella began investigating financial irregularities in our operations. She found evidence of funds being siphoned off, of information being leaked to the Castellanos, of a traitor in our family. Click. Bank records appeared. She documented everything on a USB drive. Transactions, communications, meetings. She confronted the traitor 2 days before her death. The next day, someone tampered with her car's brake line. Click. Autopsy photos, police reports. The investigation was shut down quickly, no follow-up, no deeper questions, because someone powerful made sure it stayed quiet. Lorenzo stood slowly. "Marcus, these are serious accusations. If you're implying—" "I'm not implying anything, Uncle. I'm stating facts." Marcus pulled out the necklace, Isabella's necklace, and held it up. "My wife hid the USB drive in her jewelry. It was supposed to be buried with her, but it survived, and I've seen everything." He clicked again. The screen filled with damning evidence. Lorenzo's offshore accounts, emails to Castellano operatives, detailed records of every betrayal. "For 15 years, you've been selling information to our enemies, helping them avoid our security, ambush our shipments, murder our people, all for money. And when my wife discovered it, you had her killed." The room exploded in chaos. Men shouting, standing, demanding answers. Lorenzo's face had gone white, then red. "This is ridiculous," Lorenzo roared. "Those records are fabricated. Marcus has lost his mind, driven mad by grief, and now by," he sneered, "by that woman and her bastard child. Everyone knows he's brought some street trash into our home, claiming—" Marcus moved so fast no one saw it coming. He was across the room in seconds, his hand around Lorenzo's throat, slamming him against the wall. "Say one more word about my daughter," Marcus growled, "and I will kill you right here." Guards moved to intervene, but Catherine's voice cut through. "Stop!" Everyone froze. Catherine stood, her face pale but her voice steady. "Let him go, Marcus. This is a council meeting, not a street fight." Marcus released Lorenzo slowly. The older man gasped for air, fear finally showing in his eyes. Catherine turned to the council. "I knew Isabella was investigating something before she died. She came to me, told me she'd found evidence of corruption. I didn't know who was involved. She wouldn't tell me, said it was safer if I didn't know. But she told me if anything happened to her, the truth would eventually come out." She looked at Lorenzo. "I've suspected you for 5 years, but I had no proof. Now Marcus has provided it. The evidence must be examined." "This is a setup," Lorenzo shouted. "You're all choosing to believe a fake drive over family—" "The drive is real," Catherine interrupted. "I recognize the encryption Isabella used. The timestamps match. The financial records can be verified." She turned to the council. "Unless someone objects, I propose we examine this evidence thoroughly, and if it proves accurate—" "When it proves accurate," Marcus corrected. "Then Lorenzo must answer for his crimes according to family law." The vote was unanimous. Lorenzo's face twisted with rage and fear. "You're making a mistake. The Castellanos, they'll come for all of you. They already came," Marcus said coldly. "Yesterday they attacked my home. They shot at my daughter, my 4-year-old daughter." He leaned close to Lorenzo. "That was your doing. You told them where to find the necklace. You told them about Zara. You painted a target on an innocent child's back. I don't know what you're—" "Don't lie. Not anymore." Marcus stepped back. "The council will verify the evidence. They'll confirm everything I've shown them. And then, Uncle, you're going to face justice. Family justice." In their world, family justice meant only one thing: death. Lorenzo was taken into custody by council guards. As they led him away, he looked back at Marcus with pure hatred. "This isn't over. You think you've won, but you have no idea what's coming. The Castellanos won't stop. They'll kill your bastard and her worthless mother. They'll—" Marcus's gun was out and pressed to Lorenzo's head before anyone could blink. "Say one more word about my family," Marcus whispered, deadly calm. "Go ahead, give me a reason." "Marcus," Catherine's voice. "Not here, not like this. Let the council do their job." Marcus lowered the gun slowly. Lorenzo was dragged away, still shouting threats. When the room cleared, Catherine approached her son. "Is it true? About the child? She's really yours?" "DNA confirmed it this morning. Zara is my daughter." Catherine was quiet for a long moment, then, "I want to meet her. Properly." "Mother, I know what you think of me. I know I've made mistakes, kept secrets I shouldn't have kept. But Marcus, if that child is your daughter, she's my granddaughter. The only grandchild I may ever have. Let me meet her, please." Marcus studied his mother's face. For the first time in years, he saw something genuine in her eyes. Not manipulation, not calculation, just loneliness, regret. "I'll think about it," he said finally. Back at the safe house, Amara was trying to keep Zara distracted with cartoons when Marcus returned. He looked exhausted but relieved. "It's done," he said. "The council has the evidence. They're verifying everything, but it's clear. Lorenzo will be tried by family law. He'll be found guilty. And then he'll be executed." Marcus said it matter-of-factly. "That's how it works in our world. Betrayal of the family carries a death sentence." Amara should have been horrified. Instead, she just felt tired. "Will that end it? Will we be safe?" "From Lorenzo, yes. From the Castellanos—" Marcus shook his head. "They still want the necklace. But once I release the evidence publicly, they'll be too busy dealing with FBI investigations and asset seizures to come after us." "You're going to the FBI?" Isabella wanted justice. She wanted the corruption exposed, not just avenged. So yes, I'm going to give them everything. The Castellanos, their operations, their connections. It'll cripple them. "Won't that hurt your family, too?" "Some. But I'll survive. We'll survive." He looked at her. "Amara, I want to ask you something. When this is over, when it's safe, I want Zara to live with me, permanently. I want to be her father, not just on DNA tests, but in real life, daily. I want to teach her, protect her, watch her grow up. I'm not giving her up. I'm not asking you to." Marcus moved closer. "I'm asking you to stay too. Both of you. Let me give you a real home, real security. Let Zara grow up knowing both her parents." "As what? Your charity case? The poor woman you feel obligated to help?" "As my family." Marcus took her hand. "Amara, I know this is complicated. I know we barely know each other. But in the past 3 days, you and Zara have become the most important people in my life. I'm not asking you to love me. I'm not even asking you to like me. I'm just asking you to give us a chance. Give Zara a chance to know her father, and give me a chance to prove I can be more than the monster you've seen." Amara looked at their joined hands. This dangerous man, this killer, this mafia boss, holding her hand like it was something precious. "I need time," she said finally. "Time to process everything. Time to figure out if this can work. Take all the time you need, but while you're taking it—" He smiled slightly. "Take it here, where you're safe, where Zara's safe. Deal?" Before Amara could answer, Zara appeared in the doorway. "Daddy, can we get ice cream?" Marcus's face transformed. "Ice cream? Right now? Please? I've been really good, and Mama said if you said yes, we could go." Marcus looked at Amara, who shrugged. "I may have mentioned it." "Then yes. Absolutely yes." He scooped Zara up, making her giggle. "Let's get ice cream. What flavor do you want?" "Chocolate." "No, strawberry." "No, both." "Both it is." As Marcus carried their daughter toward the door, Amara watched them. This little girl who looked so much like her father, and this deadly man who was learning to be gentle for her sake, and felt something shift in her chest. Maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. Maybe broken people could build something whole together. Maybe love didn't always arrive perfectly. Sometimes it came wearing a mafia boss's face, carrying your daughter and asking for ice cream. 3 weeks passed in careful peace. Lorenzo was dead, executed by family law after the council verified every piece of evidence. The Castellanos were in chaos, their operations crippled as federal agents raided properties and froze accounts based on Isabella's documentation. Marcus had kept his promise, releasing the evidence anonymously to the FBI, watching with grim satisfaction as his wife's murderers finally faced justice. Amara and Zara remained at the safe house, though it no longer felt like hiding. Marcus visited daily, sometimes twice. He brought gifts for Zara: toys, books, a stuffed wolf she named Daddy Wolf. He brought groceries and cooked dinner, surprisingly competent in the kitchen for a man who'd always had staff. He sat through endless episodes of cartoons, his tattooed arms holding his daughter while she fell asleep against his chest. And slowly, carefully, he and Amara began to know each other as more than strangers bound by circumstance. She learned he'd wanted to be an architect before his father died, and family obligation trapped him in the criminal world. He learned she'd dreamed of being a teacher before poverty derailed everything. They talked late into the nights after Zara slept, about Isabella, about loss, about the weight of surviving when someone you love didn't. "Do you still love her?" Amara asked one night. "Yes," Marcus answered honestly. "I'll always love Isabella. She was my first love, my wife, the woman I planned to spend my life with. But she's gone. And I'm learning that loving someone who died doesn't mean I can't love anyone else ever again." "Is that what this is?" Amara asked quietly. "Love? I don't know what to call it yet. But Amara, when I wake up, the first thing I think about is seeing you and Zara. When I'm in dangerous meetings, what keeps me focused is knowing I'm coming back to you both. That feels like something worth protecting, something worth building on." Before Amara could respond, Marcus's phone buzzed. His face darkened as he read the message. "What's wrong?" "The Castellanos. They're not done." He stood, immediately shifting into the cold, dangerous man she'd first met. "Intelligence says they're planning something. One final move before the FBI takes down their leadership." "What kind of move?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Revenge. They've lost everything because of that USB drive. They want blood payment." "Meaning?" "Meaning they're coming for us for Zara." He was already making calls, issuing orders. "We need to move. Now. Somewhere more secure than here." Within an hour, they were in an armored SUV convoy, heading to one of Marcus's most fortified properties, a compound outside the city, essentially a small fortress with its own security team, surveillance systems, and defensive positions. Zara, sensing the tension, clung to Amara. "Mama, are the bad men coming again?" "Daddy won't let them hurt us," Amara said, trying to sound confident. "That's right, Princess." Marcus turned from the front seat. "Nobody touches my family. Nobody." They arrived at the compound as the sun was setting. The property was impressive. High walls, guard towers, multiple buildings surrounded by open ground that would make any attack visible from a distance. "This is where we make our stand," Marcus said. "If they're coming, they'll come tonight. They'll want darkness. But we'll be ready." Catherine was already there. Having arrived earlier with Rico and the core security team, she approached Marcus immediately. "Everyone's in position. Perimeter sensors are active. We've got eyes on all approaches." Then she turned to Amara and Zara. For 3 weeks, Catherine had kept her distance, respecting Marcus's demand that she earn the right to meet her granddaughter. Now, facing the possibility of attack, formality seemed pointless. "Hello," Catherine said to Zara, her voice gentler than Amara had ever heard it. "I'm your grandmother." Zara studied her with a child's brutal honesty. "You're pretty, but you look mean." Catherine's lips twitched, almost a smile. "I can be mean, but not to family, never to family." "Is that true, Daddy?" Zara looked at Marcus. "Your grandmother has made mistakes," Marcus said carefully, "but she's trying to do better. We're all trying to do better." "Okay." Zara seemed satisfied with this. "Do you have any cookies, Grandma?" Catherine actually laughed, a real laugh, not the practiced social sound Amara had heard before. "I'll see what I can find." As night fell, the compound became a fortress. Guards patrolled in shifts, surveillance systems monitored every approach. Marcus stationed Rico with Amara and Zara in the central building's panic room, a reinforced space that could withstand almost anything. "If they breach the perimeter," Marcus instructed, "Rico gets you both out through the underground tunnel. It leads half a mile away to a secondary vehicle. You drive to the airfield and take my plane. Don't stop. Don't look back." What about you? Amara asked. I'll be making sure they don't reach you. Marcus. He cupped her face gently. I told Zara I'd protect her. I keep my promises. Both of you. Stay alive. That's all that matters. Before Amara could respond, the alarms sounded. They're here, Marcus said, his entire demeanor changing. The gentle father vanished, replaced by the wolf. Rico, lock him down. Nobody gets through that door. He was gone before Amara could say goodbye. The Castellanos came with everything they had left. 24 men, heavily armed, approaching from multiple angles. But Marcus had the advantage of preparation and defensive positions. The battle began with gunfire erupting across the compound. Marcus moved through it like he'd been born for this, directing his men, taking strategic positions, eliminating threats with brutal efficiency. But the Castellanos weren't here just to kill. They had a secondary objective that Marcus discovered too late. Boss, one of his men shouted over the radio. They've got a second team. They were hiding in the truck. They just breached the east wall. The east wall, the side closest to the panic room. Marcus ran, his heart pounding not with fear for himself, but terror for his daughter. Not Zara, not his little girl who'd just learned to call him daddy. Not now. Not when he'd finally found something worth living for. He reached the corridor leading to the panic room to find Rico fighting 3 men. Rico was good, one of the best, but he was outnumbered. As Marcus fired, dropping 2 attackers, the third got a knife into Rico's side. Rico went down. The attacker kicked him aside and moved toward the panic room door. Marcus shot him before he could reach it, but more were coming. Too many. And some had gotten past the main defenses, were flooding into the building. In the panic room, Amara heard the gunfire getting closer. Zara was crying, terrified. Mama, I'm scared. I want Daddy. Daddy's coming, baby. He's coming. The door shook as something hit it hard. Then again. The reinforced metal held, but barely. We need to go, Rico gasped, clutching his bleeding side as he pulled himself up. The tunnel, now. What about Marcus? Boss wants you safe. That's the mission. Rico typed in the code, opening the hidden tunnel entrance. Go. I'll hold them as long as I can. Rico, you're hurt. That's an order, Ms. Freeman. Protect that child. Move. Amara grabbed Zara and ran into the tunnel. Behind them, she heard the panic room door finally give way, heard Rico's gun firing one last time, then silence. The tunnel was narrow, dark, terrifying. Zara sobbed against her shoulder as Amara ran, her lungs burning, her legs screaming, driven by pure maternal desperation. They emerged in a hidden garage half a mile away. A car waited, keys in the ignition just as Marcus had promised. Amara strapped Zara into the back seat and started driving, tears streaming down her face. Mama, where's Daddy? Zara cried. We can't leave Daddy. We have to, baby. We have to stay safe for him. She drove toward the airfield, her hands shaking on the wheel, her heart breaking with every mile that took them farther from Marcus. Back at the compound, Marcus fought like a man possessed. He'd lost Rico, good, loyal Rico who'd protected his daughter to the end. He wouldn't lose anyone else. He wouldn't lose the future he'd just found. The Castellano forces were dwindling. His superior defensive positions and knowledge of the terrain were winning out. But then he saw him. Giovanni Castellano himself, the family's second-in-command, stepping through the smoke and bodies with a gun trained on Catherine, who'd been caught trying to reach the panic room. DeLuca! Giovanni shouted. Show yourself or I kill your mother! Marcus emerged from cover, hands raised, gun lowered but not dropped. Let her go. This is between us. No, this is about my family. My brothers are dead or in prison because of that. Drive. Because your wife couldn't mind her own business. Because you couldn't let the past stay buried. Giovanni pressed the gun to Catherine's head. Where's the child? Where's the girl? Gone. Safe. Somewhere you'll never find her. Then I'll settle for this. Giovanni's finger tightened on the trigger. Wait! Catherine's voice was steady despite the gun at her head. You want revenge? Take me. I'm the one who hid the evidence all these years. I'm the one who helped cover up Isabella's murder. I'm the one who protected Lorenzo. This is my fault. Let Marcus go. Mother, no. For once, let me do the right thing. Catherine looked at her son. Let me protect my family. The way I should have protected Isabella. The way I should have protected you. Giovanni laughed coldly. How touching. But I don't think... The gunshot came from an unexpected direction. Giovanni fell, a perfect shot through his head. Behind where he'd stood, Elena lowered a smoking rifle, her hands steady, her face cold. "He was going to kill the family," Elena said calmly. "I may not like you anymore, Marcus, but I don't betray family." Catherine collapsed as Marcus caught her. The remaining Castellano forces, seeing their leader dead, broke and ran. The battle was over. "Are they safe?" Catherine asked. "The girl and her mother?" "Yes, Rico got them out." "Good." Catherine smiled weakly. "Then go to them. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't let fear or pride keep you from the family you have. Go, Marcus. Be a father. Be happy. Isabella would want that for you." Amara waited at the airfield, pacing beside the plane, Zara asleep in a seat inside. Every minute felt like an hour. Was Marcus alive? Dead? Would she ever see him again? Then headlights appeared, a single vehicle driving fast. Amara's hand went to the gun Rico had given her. She'd learned to shoot in the past 3 weeks, knowing she needed to protect herself and Zara in this world. But then the driver's door opened and Marcus stepped out, covered in blood and soot and dirt, but alive. "Daddy!" Zara screamed from inside the plane. She'd woken up and seen him. She came running down the stairs, and Marcus caught her, spinning her around, holding her like he'd never let go. "I'm here, Princess. I'm here. I told you I'd keep you safe." "You came back! You came back!" Amara approached slowly, tears running down her face. "Is it over?" "It's over." Marcus set Zara down gently, then pulled Amara into his arms. "The Castellanos are finished. We're safe. All of us." "Rico?" Marcus's face fell. "He died protecting you. He bought you time to escape." Amara sobbed into his chest, grief mixing with relief. Rico had died for them. For Zara, just one more life this violent world had taken. "I'm done," Marcus said quietly. "No more. I've spent my whole adult life in this world, and it's taken everyone I loved. My father, Isabella, Rico. I'm not sacrificing anything else. I'm walking away from it all." "Can you do that?" "I can. I will. For her." He looked at Zara. "For both of you. If you'll stay." Amara looked up at him. This man who'd been a stranger a month ago. This killer who'd learned to be gentle. This broken man who'd found healing in their accidental family. "Yes," she whispered, "we'll stay." 2 months later, Amara stood in a lawyer's office, signing papers that made Marcus Zara's legal father. His name would be on her birth certificate now, DeLuca. She was officially Zara DeLuca. "How does it feel?" Amara asked him as they left. "Terrifying, amazing, right?" Marcus looked at her. "Amara, I need to ask you something." "What?" He pulled out a small box. Inside was a simple, elegant ring. "This isn't about obligation or duty or trying to replace what we lost. This is about the future, about the family we're building, about the fact that I love you and I love our daughter, and I want us to be together, really together. Will you marry me?" Amara stared at the ring, at this impossible man, at the impossible life they'd built from tragedy and danger and a lost necklace. "Yes," she said. "Yes, I'll marry you." Zara cheered, having been in on the surprise. "Mama's gonna be Mrs. DeLuca. Does that mean I can have a brother?" They both laughed, and for the first time in longer than either could remember, the laughter wasn't shadowed by fear or grief. It was just joy, pure, simple, hard-won joy. 1 year later, the mansion, Marcus's mansion, now their mansion, was filled with noise and laughter. Zara's 6th birthday party was in full swing. Children from her new school ran through the gardens, played in the fountain, devoured cake. Marcus stood on the balcony watching, Amara beside him, her hand in his, a small baby bump just beginning to show where their second child was growing. "You look happy," Amara said. "I am happy. For the first time since Isabella died, I'm actually happy." He squeezed her hand. "Thank you for giving me a second chance, for believing I could be more than what I was. You gave yourself that chance. You chose to change." Below, Zara was showing off the necklace she wore, not Isabella's anymore, that sat in a safe deposit box, its evidence having served its purpose. This was a new necklace designed by Marcus specifically for his daughter, a wolf and a rose intertwined, protection and beauty, strength and gentleness. "She's going to have questions someday," Amara said, "about what you were, what you did." "I know, and I'll tell her the truth. That I lived in darkness for a long time, that I hurt people and made terrible choices, but that she and you pulled me into the light, gave me a reason to be better. That's a lot of pressure to put on a 6-year-old. She can handle it, she's strong, like her mother. Catherine appeared in the doorway carrying a gift. Her relationship with Amara had been rocky at first, but grief and shared love for Zara had eventually bridged the gap. She was trying, genuinely trying, to be a better grandmother than she'd been a mother. "The children are asking for a story," Catherine said. "I thought perhaps you'd want to tell them one, Marcus." Marcus looked at Amara, who nodded. They went down together, gathered the birthday party children in a circle, and Marcus told them a story. "Once upon a time," he began, "there was a man who'd forgotten how to love. He thought he'd lost everything that mattered. But then one day, he found a little girl wearing a magical necklace, and that little girl taught him that it's never too late to find your family. That love doesn't follow rules or plans. Sometimes it finds you on a street corner when you least expect it. And if you're brave enough to accept it, it changes everything." Zara climbed into his lap. "That's us, Daddy. That's our story." "Yes, Princess, that's our story." And as the sun set over the mansion, over this family built from tragedy and violence and impossible coincidence, Marcus DeLuca held his daughter close and knew, absolutely knew, that every dark path he'd walked had been worth it to end up here, in this moment surrounded by love. The necklace had brought them together, but love, messy, complicated, hard-won love, was what would keep them whole. If this story moved you, if you felt every bullet, every fear, every moment of impossible love finding its way through darkness, smash that like button. Tell me in the comments, what was your favorite moment? Did you believe Marcus could change? Would you take the same risk Amara did? And subscribe, because stories like this, stories about broken people finding healing in unexpected places, are what make us remember we're all capable of redemption. Thank you for taking this journey with Marcus, Amara, and Zara. Until the next story. Remember that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is open your heart, but it's also the most worthwhile.